So very quick, just intro as to who I am. As Luke said, I'm the co-founder of PalmNFT Studio. PalmNFT Studio develops NFT projects on the Palm sidechain. And today I'm mostly going to talk about the Palm sidechain, why we think it's interesting, who some of our partners are in that effort, including Protocol Labs, how you might proceed building on it. But then I'll talk a little bit about the studio because I'm a co-founder and can't help a little bit of shameless self-promotion. By way of background, so as Luke said, I spent the last 4 years at Consensus. I sort of grew the protocol engineering group there, went from about 2 people to 60, 65, where it is today. We have an Ethereum 1 implementation called Hyperledger Besu. Hyperledger Besu is actually the foundation of Palm as well. We have an Ethereum 2 implementation called Teku, which I also encourage you to check out. And then we have an enterprise Ethereum implementation called Consensus Quorum that has something like 30% of the overall enterprise blockchain market. And when I was at Consensus building these sort of production grade, enterprise grade solutions for JP Morgan or MasterCard or some of the other clients, it occurred to me that that same technology exposed publicly could solve some of the challenges that NFTs have in the Ethereum ecosystem. I'm a big believer in the Ethereum ecosystem. I want to keep projects in the Ethereum ecosystem. And so there's that background and Consensus that sort of led to the creation of Palm and PalmNFT Studio. Before getting more technical, I think it's always interesting to stop and think where NFTs are today and where they might be going. A lot of people have different views on the future of NFTs, what will be valuable. We've seen some incredibly successful projects from crypto native art to sort of NBA Top Shots, top of the list in terms of capturing existing IP and leveraging this new technology to expand it. We've seen some really exciting projects like Axie Infinity and Zedrun do native games with blockchain. I think there's a ton of innovation and a ton of uncharted territory still ahead. For us, or my personal belief is that in 3 to 5 years, the vast majority of NFTs will be given away for free. They will be fan activation, fan engagement, fan rewards. And we're going to use NFTs still as collectibles a little bit, and sort of crypto art will still be important, always be important. But the thrust of it will be really the connection point between creator and fan and the activation point between creator and fan. And that looks a bit different than the way NFTs are largely thought about today, or at least implemented today. And it also premises on the fact that it's just as important for existing brands as crypto native brands. And so a lot of what we do at PalmNFT Studio is trying to work with leading artists, creators, brands, and how they can use this technology and evolve. So, Palm is, so that's sort of the background in our thesis. We launched Palm, the sidechain, sort of soft launch, 8 weeks ago now. It's gotten increasing usage over the last couple of weeks. In particular, last week, we saw the first major projects on it and sort of got to see some major throughput on the system, which is exciting. There are a few fundamental design principles that we wanted to solve with Palm. And the first, of course, is scalability. Everyone needs a scalable solution, particularly if we think, high volume NFTs are going to be the future. Gas fees are, of course, a challenge with Ethereum. But the one that surprised me most in terms of customer feedback or what brands and IP owners and creators are looking for is the environmentally friendly angle. I've sort of been heads deep in the crypto space for a while. And in the crypto space, we talk about sustainability, we talk about the importance of it, but it's sort of it generally seems like it's more of a secondary concern. But for creators, for artists, for brands, for consumers, it's very much, and rightfully so, a primary concern. And so we wanted to design a chain that could sort of meet the needs of sustainable brands and sustainable customers. That said, we wanted all this to live within the Ethereum ecosystem. So I believe deeply in Ethereum. I think that is my bias. I think Ethereum brings the most innovation, the most developers, the most tooling, the most existing projects. And so we also wanted to make sure everything was as compatible as possible with Ethereum. So that's sort of what we set out to do. In practice, what this means is we set up a network based on Hyperledger Besu. Hyperledger Besu is a Ethereum client. You could use it to run Ethereum mainnet nodes if you want, and a number of people do. But it also has a consensus mechanism that you could swap out for alternative purposes. And one of the consensus mechanisms you can put in place for proof of work is a variant of the PBFT family. So this one is called IBFT or QBFT, and to sort of skip the jargon, it's rotating proof of authority. So it requires a trusted validator pool. That's sort of the downside in terms of decentralization. And for that downside, you get a number of benefits. You get a chain that's fully EVM compatible. You get a chain that has low and predictable gas fees, high throughput at around sort of 100 to 300 transactions per second today, but we know how to scale that much more. We've scaled the solution all the way up to 10,000 transactions per second. And then fast deposit and withdrawal from Ethereum. So our bridge, which is live, has sort of hit some production, I call them speed bumps in the last few days, but the fastest transactions are going over the bridge in under 15 minutes, even under 5 minutes. And we're targeting all transactions going over the bridge in under 15 minutes moving forward. And so these are all nice properties. The other nice property, and the thing that's sort of implicit in all this, is that the technology is not brand new. This isn't sort of technology we're testing, so to speak. This is the core protocol is something that we've deployed a number of times in production, which is pretty awesome. And the other point here is this is a collaborative effort with a number of folks. So PalmNFT Studio is obviously invested in the success of Palm the network, but we're far from the only one. Here's just a few projects I wanted to call out because I know they're dev tools and they're super important. Protocol Labs has been a supporter of Palm from day one. All the NFTs that are currently out on Palm are stored via IPFS and Filecoin, and we're continuing to sort of our collaboration for decentralized storage solutions. Infura hosts Palm and hosts an IPFS instance, and so you can use Infura's pinning service and other things like NFT.storage on Palm today. Consensus is one of the leading validators on the network through Infura, which exposes the APIs. Truffle integrates very nicely into Palm as well. I don't want to go too deep here, but there's about a dozen sort of key projects that are already launching on Palm. And sort of as we roll out our network, it's really exciting and validating our hypothesis that staying as close to the Ethereum ecosystem is really important. And we're starting to see that take up at the beginning. And so, what do I mean by Ethereum compatibility? So there's a bunch of layers of the stack. There's probably one, if we're being honest, missing from this diagram in terms of data APIs maybe. But the nice thing about Palm, since it runs Hyperledger Besu, it's like literally the same EVM that could process mainnet. And so all the opcodes are supported. It's the same API interfaces. It's also hosted by Infura, so it can be the same infrastructure. We've had projects tell us it's a matter of an hour and a half to fully transition their product from Ethereum to Palm, and that's pretty remarkable. So you can redeploy your smart contracts. The Solidity code will work. You can connect to the same Infura API endpoints with just a different chain ID. And then just as importantly, the NFTs that you mint on one chain can move across to the other and vice versa. Currently, our bridge only supports 721s, but we're planning to add additional support on the bridge. And so that's an ongoing effort and something that's really important to us. So I've said this a few times, that sort of high level compatibility with Ethereum is like an absolutely core design principle for us and something we think is super important. So just to reiterate this, if you want more info There's docs.palm.io. They're sort of getting started. You can also join our Discord, which is available via our website, palm.io. The concept behind Palm and sort of the tech stack is really, really simple. It's an EVM-compatible sidechain. It uses rotating proof of authority to get scalability. It's hosted by Infura. It's got a bridge back to mainnet, and we're having an increasing number of third-party projects deploy. There's one thing I mentioned, or should have mentioned, that I didn't yet. It's also really important to us. Palm, a sidechain requires a native token, Palm, to pay gas. But we're not selling it. We're not trying to make money off it. We're giving it away for free to developers and projects who need the token to do things on chain. And we're also asking those partners to give it away for free to their users so they can do things on chain. The real goal of this token is to be a utility token to pay gas and in the future govern the network. It is not something that we're trying to monetize. And so if you want access to that faucet or want any information about getting access to that, you can find some information on docs.palm.io. I'll also give out my email at the end of this, so you can get started. So that's sort of the whirlwind, pretty brief technical overview. Stepping away from the technical bit, I wanted to talk also a little bit about Palm NFT Studio, which is sort of the company I lead. Palm, the sidechain, is it's an open network. It's hosted by Infura. Consensus funds a bunch of nodes, IO builders, Nifties. We've got a bunch more people bringing nodes on board. Palm NFT Studio is a company committed to deploying projects on Palm. And you can think of ourselves as sort of part creative studio and part technical layer API. So the most recent project we did was in collaboration with Henny. You can go to henny.com to see more here. I don't know how many in this audience are familiar with Damien Hirst. Damien is, by many measures, one of the most successful contemporary fine artists. And he made 10,000 physical pieces of art back in 2016 around the concept of art being currency. We usually think of art as this thing we sort of stick on our wall and it stays there and it can't move. And he was wondering, well, can art actually be exchanged more often and traded more often? And he did this before NFTs were really a thing. And so when we were talking to him, he had this brilliant idea of using NFTs as the way to run this experiment and test whether these NFT, whether artwork could be exchanged like this, how people will use it, how people will interact with it. We love the project because it uses the technology to extend and expand what is capable with the artwork. And right now we're posing to all users a really interesting question, all owners a really interesting question. So if you own a Damien Hirst NFT, you have 1 year to burn the NFT at henny.com. The burning option will go live in like 2 months, but once that option is live, you'll have 1 year to burn the NFT and claim the physical. If you don't burn the NFT and claim the physical, after 1 year, the physical will be burned and you're stuck with the digital. So it's kind of asking the question, do people care more for the digital than the physical? And I'm very interested to see the data that comes back. I personally plan to keep mine in the digital. I've heard a lot of people want to buy two so they can have one of each. It would be an interesting experiment. We were able to sell, obviously, 10,000 of them. We had 35,000 people apply for over 70,000 NFTs. The secondary market in the last week has been really robust, both on henny.com on the Palm side and on OpenSea on the mainnet side. And for this one, Palm NFT Studio obviously did none of the creative. Damien Hirst did all the creative, but we worked with them to design the project and help implement the drop, which we're really proud of. The other project we did recently was sort of the opposite in terms of Palm NFT Studio's role. It was in collaboration with Warner Brothers and Nifties.com. Nifties.com sort of was the site and the experience that this happened through. They did the technical implementation, the design of the game, and Palm NFT Studio was responsible for the creative assets, like the visual NFTs and what you see. And we're really proud of this one as well. So there were 2 rounds of drops. The first round, 90,000 NFTs were claimed and sold within a number of hours. The second round, I think the number was into the six figures. So it was one of the largest NFT projects in terms of number of NFTs, number of users engaging with those NFTs. And I think these two projects are good examples of our capabilities. So we've got deep technical ability to implement new projects, but we want to marry that with deep creative capabilities that can do justice to and really showcase existing brands. For us, this technology will go mainstream when major brands are using it to extend what they can do. The major brands will only do that when they think the technology will do justice to their work. And so having that world-class creative team is absolutely crucial to our vision as well. And so, I was told to speak for about 20 minutes. I think that was 19. So not so bad. You can find us on palm.io, docs.palm.io. There's the Discord. So everyone has it. My email is Dan, D-A-N, @palm.io. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. I feel compelled to make the plug that we are hiring in all departments everywhere. So creative, product, technical, content. If you're backend engineer, full stack engineer, front end, DevOps, tech writer, we have a ton of open roles. If you don't see an open role that meets your profile, but you're still interested in working with us, email me. We'd love to receive that email. And with that, let me take a sip of water and see if there's any questions.